You know, it's one of the things every Idaho student learns during the fourth grade, their state history lessons. Idaho state bird, you learn that, the mountain bluebird, the state tree, that happens to be the western white pine. It wasn't until 1992, though, Idaho adopted an official state insect, the monarch butterfly. Unfortunately, we're not unique in that symbol because there are 6 other states that have also adopted the monarch as their state insect. But unlike those other states, getting the monarch to become the gem state officially, or get the monarch to become the official insect of the state, well, that was kind of a collective effort from students at Boise's old elementary school and their teacher, Faye Sutherland, who she kind of had a soft spot for the species. She's been very involved. The monarch is one of the most recognizable butterflies out there with the orange and black coloring. You're looking at it right now. It's one of the few insects that have that full north-south migratory pattern. Monarchs you see in Idaho are part of the western population, which means they stay west of the Rockies and they migrate south and to California and to Mexico in the winter months. As the weather warms, they head back north, breeding multiple generations along the thousands of miles they travel along the way, including right here in Idaho. Some make it all the way to the Canadian border before turning back at the end of summer. And there used to be millions of them out there that made this trek, but in recent years, they've dropped to just thousands. There were fewer than 2,000, by the way, in 2021 in the western count, but bounced back a little bit last winter to about 150,000. Still not enough to kind of say, well, they're not in trouble, which is why the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, which operates under the United Nations, well, they added the monarch to its red list, or the endangered list of threatened species for the very first time, which means the monarch just 2 steps away from extinction. However, the U.S. has held off on adding the butterfly to its list covered by the Endangered Species Act, despite calls from several conservation groups. This morning, we stopped by at Zoo Boise and talked with their general curator, Harry Peachy, about why they're now considered endangered.
So now we're seeing precipitous declines. This is a species that is dependent on migration, and in fact, they have the largest recorded migratory habits of any insect that we're aware of. They migrate for thousands of miles. That takes a tremendous toll on their energy and their resources. They have to be able to get to predictable, available food sources. Sometimes that may not happen, and if that is the case, then you see a huge decline. This migratory population has declined somewhere between 27 and 77% over the last few years. So the decline is significant. It puts them into an area from which they may not be able to recover. And it's important that we're aware of this and we communicate it to people so people can do things to help reverse the trend. So there are a number of things that are coming together to create kind of a dismal future for monarchs at this point without intervention. One is climate change. And, you know, we're seeing the consequences of climate change right now. Another is use of pesticides. The other thing that is happening is reduction of resources.
Which that includes the major resources, what they like to eat, the milkweed. That's the only thing caterpillars will eat. So there are simple things you can do here at home to help the local population, like planting more of that milkweed in your backyards, in your gardens, wherever you can, and then of course reducing your use of pesticides.